The Yakuza games have been massively popular in Japan for a long time, but they didn't get too much attention in other regions until the release of Yakuza 0 in 2015, which is a prequel to the first Yakuza game. I had pretty much no knowledge or interest, really, in any of the Yakuza games until very recently, and pretty much everything I knew about Yakuza could just be summed up in these two memes. But the newest game in the series, Yakuza Like a Dragon, changed a lot of that for me. Yakuza Like a Dragon makes a lot of changes compared to the rest of the Yakuza games, so that it's less intimidating for new players to get into. The most obvious change is that this game is actually the 7th numbered Yakuza title, but the numbers dropped from the international release, so people don't feel like they have to play all the other games first, which is something that I noticed also worked pretty well for Monster Hunter in the past. Another interesting change is that the game moved from real-time combat to turn-based gameplay in Like a Dragon. I thought turn-based gameplay would have been less popular and less liked in general than real-time combat most of the time, but considering the fact that Japan does have an entire genre named after them, it's probably safe to say I might have been wrong on that one. But the most important change for Yakuza Like a Dragon is that there's a brand new protagonist and cast of characters, compared to the previous games which mostly followed the life of Kazuma Kiryu. I had never played any of the Yakuza games before, but around November, Like a Dragon had just gotten its international release, and I had also been looking more into Yakuza 0 since I had heard that's one of the best, and I kept getting more and more interested in these games. So, fast forward to today, where I can safely say that Yakuza Like a Dragon is one of my favorite games of the last year. So, what makes this game so good anyways? I'll talk about the gameplay first, because it's actually a bit more interesting than you'd probably expect compared to your usual RPG. Like I said before, this game opts for a turn-based style rather than the older game's real-time combat, but what's interesting is that this game has a sort of hybrid between the two rather than it just being one or the other. What I mean by that is there are certain things that work much differently from your usual turn-based RPG. And this is pretty much all because the battle happens in a 3D space, which is not something I've personally ever seen in a turn-based game before. As a result, you get some special interactions which would never happen in traditional RPGs, like being able to pick up and use the objects in the environment, having certain enemies block you if they're in the way, and very rarely having your attacks miss just because you weren't actually close enough to hit the enemy. It's kind of a weird system, but I actually do really like it. And it's not like weirdness is new to the Yakuza games anyways. And speaking of weirdness, the other key difference about Yakuza Like a Dragon's battles is the jobs that your party members can have. Every character has their own unique job that only they can use, except for Kasuga, he gets 2, and then there are a variety of other jobs that all have different skills, plus the character-specific skills that everyone also has. Like the character Namba, whose starting job is Homeless Guy by the way, has a skill where he breathes towards an enemy and his breath is so bad that it lowers their defense. He also has a skill where he, and I quote, zonks out on the spot, which will fully heal him. If you level up a job enough, then you can actually keep a couple of the skills from it, even if you end up switching to a different job, so it's worth trying out a lot of them just so you can have the extra skills at your disposal later. Next, I want to talk about the story, so I'll do a brief introduction to the plot of Yakuza Like a Dragon. It goes something like this.
Miss, I don't want to insult you, but... What did you do to my hair?
I tried. It's just when you asked for a punch perm, I had to look it up. The truth is, I've never done one before.
How am I supposed to face the boss with a rat's nest on my head?
You are Ichiban Kasuga, this guy that kinda looks like Eric Andre, a loyal Yakuza as part of the Arakawa family, which is part of the much larger Tojo clan. In an effort to save the family's reputation, you turn yourself into the police for a murder that you didn't actually commit, and spend the next 18 years in prison. After those 18 years finally pass, Ichiban realizes that the world has changed more than he ever imagined it could have. The Tojo clan is gone, and Ichiban meets with his former boss just to get shot in the chest.
You have to die.
Somehow he survives the gunshot and wakes up in a town called Ijinsho, beginning a journey to figure out what happened to the Tojo clan and why did he get betrayed. Some of you might have already noticed that I played this game with the English voices, and I know that's basically blasphemy to some of you weebs, but I actually have a good reason for that, besides the fact that the dub is actually good. The reason is that if I had to be looking at the screen the entire time I was playing this game to understand what anyone was actually saying, I don't think I'd have any idea what actually happened in the game. I know that games having long-winded and slow intros is pretty much a feature of just about every game ever made, but this game starts out really slow. That doesn't mean the story is bad or anything, it just took a long time before I really started to get into it. So, if you're at all familiar with the Yakuza series, you should already know that they have a more serious side, which is seen in the main story, and then the side stories are where the Yakuza devs do whatever the hell they feel like. Video games being way over the top and not taking themselves super seriously is something I already really liked in the Devil May Cry games, but Yakuza is on an entirely different level. I'll talk about what I think is actually one of the more known side stories from Like a Dragon, which starts out by running into a man who is desperately trying to find baby formula for his newborn. He manages to find some, but now he's being threatened by a Yakuza member who wants his baby formula. You help the man out, and then suddenly you hear a baby crying out nearby, and the man offers to give up the baby formula for the unknown baby. So you have to go get some hot water to combine with the formula. Once you come back with the hot water, you both rush into the building where you heard the crying come from, and you find this weird adult baby thing, and the guy you fought before is there too. They don't like that you randomly interrupted them, so you have to fight them, and then once you win, everyone celebrates by drinking the baby formula together, and then you get the ability to call the Yakuza boss to help you out in battle, which he does by crying out so loud that it lowers the enemy's attack and defense.
I summon you!
What's the matter? Do you want your milk or maybe your toy? Are you feeling fuzzy? Susumu-chan, you won't play with me? What's wrong? Are you hungry?
And this is arguably not even the weirdest thing I saw while I played this game. Somehow the developers managed to perfectly balance both the super serious and tense main story and the ridiculous and over-the-top side stories. And eventually you get to a point where it doesn't really even feel weird anymore. This is what Yakuza is, and I love it. I still haven't even mentioned my favorite bit of lore about this game yet, though. Obviously, all of the battles are over-exaggerated because it's a video game, but for the most part, the rest of the game is plausible enough and could be something that happened in real life. But in one of the early parts of the game, right after Ichiban pulls a baseball bat out of the ground like Excalibur, there's a whole bit where the enemies transform when a battle starts, and no one sees it besides Ichiban.
Whoa! What just happened? Did you see those guys freaking transform?
Huh? What are you raving about? You know this isn't a video game, right? Come back to Earth.
No one else sees this? Well, whatever. At least it's more fun for me.
After you finish the fight, the game tells you that enemies can now transform at the start of each battle due to Ichiban's wild imagination. Meaning that most encounters are basically just fistfights without all the exaggeration, but to Ichiban it's all real, and that is hilarious to me.
Life really is an RPG when you think about it.
So how would I rate this game, as a person who's never played a Yakuza game before this one? I mean, I already said it was like top 3 games of 2020 earlier, so I feel like that should make it pretty obvious. I thought about comparing it to other RPGs that I played, and then I realized I haven't actually played that many popular RPGs. What I can say, though, is that I would definitely call myself a Yakuza fan now, and I plan on playing through all of them once they eventually get to Game Pass later this year. And you should play this game right now. Do it. Now. Alright, so that's the end of my first video of 2021. And it will not be the last, I promise. I swear. I've got more ideas for games that I want to talk about already. So, basically I just have to get off my ass and actually do it. Which, I mean, I managed to do it for this game, so hopefully I can just keep this going for a while. And then I'll have a new video coming out, hopefully pretty soon. So, I will see you guys then. Okay, goodbye now.